Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Brandon, and welcome back to Marotta Media. And in today's video, I will be going over my thoughts on the newest summer blockbuster, F9, or Fast and Furious 9. As stated, this is the 9th film in the Fast and Furious franchise, or I guess 10th in a way if you count Hobbs and Shaw. Now, before I get into this review, I just need to state a pretty unpopular opinion of mine, and that is the fact that I am not really a fan of this franchise. I don't know, these movies just never really appealed to me. I mean, I love action as much as the next person, but these movies just don't do it for me. And I think the biggest reason for that is that most of them, especially the later ones, are so far-fetched and ridiculously over the top that it's very hard to take seriously. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're not supposed to take these movies seriously, right? And I would agree with that, except for the fact that these movies do take themselves too seriously. That being said, I would not say that any of the Fast and Furious movies I've seen have been bad, because I have seen a few of them. I haven't seen all of them, I'll be honest right now. That is until this one, because this is the only Fast and Furious movie thus far that I've seen that I would truly categorize as terrible. I am going to get into my extensive thoughts of this movie, and I will be getting into spoiler territory because I feel I can't fully express myself without going over spoilers. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this shit show, shall we? All of the Fast and Furious movies have one main attraction, and that is the action. As I said in my criticisms of the franchise as a whole, the action is just so far-fetched, and F9 is really no exception to that at all. There were quite a few moments where the action was just so overblown that it felt like too much was happening, at least for me. I mean, right from the beginning, like within maybe the first 10-15 minutes, you have the crew driving through this field on an island that's just full of landmines, and they're just exploding left and right every few seconds, and I'm like, okay, we get it. There's explosions, we understand. And not just explosions, like there's so many fights happening, there's so many cars crashing all at one time, it just becomes so disorienting. And what makes the action even funnier, being so overblown, is that there's absolutely no stakes whatsoever. You know that absolutely nobody in this crew is going to die, and they even touch on the fact that they never die in the movie, but I'll expand on that later. There's also a lot of scenes that involve hand-to-hand combat, which go on way too long. I'm not kidding, there was a scene where Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson are fighting some dudes in the back of a truck. And no joke, at the exact same time, my buddy and I looked at each other after like 10 minutes of this going on, and we're like, they're still fighting? And I wouldn't even say the action in this movie reaches the point of absurdity, because I think it goes far beyond that. And what the hell is beyond absurdity? Because I think F9 reached it. And I'm not exaggerating. There is a scene where Dom, played by Vin Diesel, has about 30 guys wailing on him all at one time. And Vin Diesel is just laying down on the ground like this, just taking all the punches, like he's immune to it all, like he can't feel anything. And they're on this platform that's like underground in the sewers or something, and he just fucking pulls this whole thing down just with brute strength. Oh my god, it's so ridiculous. Okay, anyway, I'm done railing on the action now, so let's get into some other stuff. F9 introduces us to Dom's brother, Jacob, played by John Cena. And if the movie never established that Dom and Jacob were brothers, then you probably would have guessed that they were just mere acquaintances at best, because these two have absolutely no chemistry with one another. It's shown how there's a rift in their relationship because growing up, Dom was always kind of the favored son over Jacob. And I guess this kind of played a role into what made Jacob the person he is now. But easily the biggest thing that caused the rift between them is their dad. And this is where I'm gonna sort of get into spoiler territory. So if you guys don't want spoilers, then skip to this part of the video. So the movie begins with a flashback of Dom and his father at a racetrack during a race. And while his dad is racing, he crashes his car along the gate and the car just, completely explodes and his father dies. And it's later revealed that the reason the car crashed was because there was a line in the engine that was cut or something. I really don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't know the first thing about cars, but it was something like that. And later on, Dom has an epiphany, and he realizes that Jacob was the last person to open the hood of the car. So he just accuses Jacob, like, "You killed our father, and I'm gonna kill you now." Well, he didn't actually say that, but, But I guess I was curious, why did he come to that conclusion so quickly? Why was he so quick to accuse Jacob of murdering their father just because he was the last person to open the hood? That doesn't prove anything. However, it does turn out that Dom was right, and Jacob was the one who cut the line. But why did Jacob do that? Well, as it turns out, him and his father both conspired to throw the race so they can make money because I guess they were deep in debt or something like that. And Dom was completely kept in the dark about this, but you never really find out why. I mean, it was made perfectly clear that Dom was the favorite son, so why are you not telling him about this? This is kind of a big deal. And better yet, why did they have to risk this? Their father died as a result of this. Couldn't they have done something a little more subtle to throw the race? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to make it look more authentic, something that could actually happen, but it just seemed a little too extreme just to make some money. But then later on, after Dom, completely takes down that platform, like I mentioned earlier, he's in the water and he's having an out-of-body experience, I guess. And he somehow travels back in time and sees memories that he wasn't present for. So how was he able to see them? I don't know. This movie just breaks all logic, just completely throws it out the window. And this is a serious question. Can anybody tell me what the fuck Jacob's motivation was throughout this whole movie? Because he was the antagonist, but what was he trying to do? Can someone legitimately tell me what the end game was? Was he just trying to get back at Dom because he was Daddy's favorite or something? See, this is what happens when movies don't make sense. They make me angry and I just can't talk. And speaking of things that don't make sense is the presence of Han. And if you're not familiar with who Han is, he was a character in Tokyo Drift, the third movie in this franchise. And he died in that movie. He flipped his car, the car was upside down and the car exploded, but here he is, alive and well. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is another serious question. Maybe someone can tell me. But I believe they said the reason he survived was because, a hologram or something was driving the car. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But I could be wrong. But I don't want to, just give misinformation. So can someone please confirm to me if that is correct? Fucking hell, it's hot in this room. I guess that's what happens when it's hot outside and a movie makes you hot. You sweat. But anyway, Han also didn't really seem that necessary to the story. I use that criticism a lot, but I really believe that if Han wasn't present, then there wasn't really anything that would have changed here. And better yet, how did everyone know who he was? I don't recall any of these characters being in Tokyo Drift except a few side characters, but how did they know who he was? Did they meet up in another movie or something? Because like I said, I haven't seen all of them, but it's whatever, I guess. And on top of all of that, this movie is just so cringeworthy. There is a conversation that my friends and I laughed at because it was just so ridiculously stupid. So Jacob's right-hand man and Charlize Theron with her Oliver Tree haircut are having this conversation about who's really in charge of this operation. Jacob and his lackeys have her locked up, and his right-hand man is saying oh, I'm a big part of this, and she's like, no, you're just like Yoda or something. They have a full-on Star Wars analogy. And the guy's like, oh, that's good. Yoda's a Jedi Master. And Charlize Theron says with a complete straight face, no, Yoda's a puppet with a hand up his ass. Someone wrote that. Someone wrote that and thought it was good. I mentioned before how none of these characters are going to die because you know they're just not going to. There's no stakes at all. And they actually touch on this at one point. In fact, a few times actually. Now, I don't mind when movies or TV shows, any form of media really has self-referential humor in it. In fact, I like when things make fun of themselves. But in this movie, it's so on the nose. Like, it's just not funny. Tyrese Gibson goes up to Ludacris and Missandei from Game of Thrones. I can't remember her character's name. What was it? Ramsey? Yeah, that was it. It was Ramsey. And he talks about how he thinks that they might be superheroes because they've been on all these incredible adventures and not one of them has died as a result of it. And I mean, he's probably not far off because some of the injuries that they sustain throughout this entire film are ridiculous and no one would get up from in reality. And they also must be superheroes to some capacity because they're able to figure things out so easily with no real hints or any prior knowledge of what they're doing. I already said Dom just completely had a hunch that Jacob was the one who cut the line, and it turns out he was right. And there are a few other times where the characters just completely guess on things, and they somehow turn out to be correct. There's one point where they're all in this courtyard, and Tyrese and Ludacris are like looking for suspicious looking people that'll lead them to this magnet or something. And they're looking around like, there's a lot of people here. How are we gonna know who they are? And Tyrese legit sees two guys walk by and goes, hey, look at those guys. They have cauliflower ears. That means they're fighters. It has to be them. But as it turns out, he was right. And God. But the moment that this movie just reached absolutely peak absurdity, or whatever is beyond that, is when they go to fucking space. You've probably seen memes like that the past few years where people have lobbied for the Fast and Furious crew to go to space. And they do. They do. They actually go to space in this movie. That is not a spoiler because it is in the trailer. They really go to space on a car with a big-ass rocket attached to the back of it. And how did they get up into space? Oh, they just rode on top of this jet. You know, just simple stuff. But by the time they got to space, I was thinking, okay, this movie has to be almost over, right? But no, it just keeps going. There's a good 45 minutes to an hour after they get to that point. I checked my watch numerous times, like, when is this gonna end? There's no further place that they can take this. And then when we get to the end, it's so predictable. It's so predictable and sappy, and you just knew how it was gonna end. They save the day, and then they all have a big family dinner at the end. Oh, and there's another thing that I forgot to mention that really made me hate this movie. Cardi B is in it. Yes, the rapper, Cardi B. Yes, she is in this movie. Granted, she's not in it much, hallelujah. She's only in it for about 30 seconds, but I don't even know who she was playing. Was she playing like a person from Dom's past or something like that? I don't fucking know. But her appearance on screen, I'm not kidding, maybe took this movie down an entire score. I feel like I'm gonna get some hate for hating on Cardi B, but I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. Was there anything in this movie that I liked? I mean, Ludacris and Tyrese's banter back and forth was funny sometimes. I mean, some of the action was pretty cool, but I think the best part of this movie is that it's just hilarious. And not in a good way. This movie is so stupid that it's hilarious. So if you want to just sit back and watch an incredibly stupid movie that you can laugh at, then watch F9. But that by no means means that this movie is so bad it's good. This movie is just bad. And overall, I would give F9 a 3 out of 10. Hey everybody, so I thought I would end this video a little bit differently and on a happy note today. I just wanted to end this by giving a big shout out to my basketball team, the Phoenix Suns, on making it to the NBA Finals for the first time in nearly 30 years. Game 1 is tomorrow, so it'll have happened by the time I put this video out, but I just wanted to end this video on a happy note because I really couldn't be happier for the team and all of the fans. But other than that, guys, if you saw F9, then tell me what you thought about it. Did you love it or did you hate it? Because are you a fan of this series? Because like I said, I most certainly am not. If you guys like this review, then be sure to hit that thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. If you guys want to see a couple of my past reviews, I will link those right over here. Other than that, I hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. I'm gonna go turn the air on now.